Hello everyone and welcome to another night of NizCast. I of course am Niz, and there has been a lot of stuff going on in the Dota world recently. So let's try and cover what we've had gone on in the last week or so. That well, since we last cast the Semi-Pro Cup series, of course we're starting in the semifinals again tonight. But we had ESL 1 Frankfurt. They announced that there's going to be America's qualifiers, so the Americas are going to have one slot that is going to be open to a qualifier. So there's a lot of teams in that, Complexities in it, Freedoms in it, a whole bunch of other teams. I think there's 8 in total. So that's going to be exciting. That's going to be on the 12th, I think. I believe it starts on the Tuesday, and it's going to run for 5 days after that, all the way to the 17th. So that should be exciting. Only one team of that goes and advances to the main event in Frankfurt in the middle of June. But that should be exciting to see who's going to be able to break through there. Of course, Star Ladder, iLeague announced a whole bunch of their invites. But the big thing is actually AC is going to be back to casting. So everyone's kind of hyped for that to see how he's going to do. He's taken quite a bit of a break from casting. So I look forward to seeing how he's able to return to the scene.
Radiant team.
Beyond that, man, there was TI tickets went on sale. And I have a whole story, or a rant, whatever you want to call it, about that. I'll probably get into that in the start of the draft for the finals, because our draft is actually going along pretty quickly here. But yeah, we had what else did we have? Oh, speaking of which, on ACME here, which is the Dire side, Annie has been tweeting about attending LAN ETS, which is a gigantic LAN in Canadian LAN in Montreal, and it's this upcoming weekend, so they're going to be competing in that, and it's being held at Place Bonaventure, which is actually the same site that the new DreamHack that was just announced is going to be held. The only issue with the new DreamHack, which I was super excited about, and then I saw the dates, is it is the same week as TI. So I got my tickets. I'm going to be going to TI. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to DreamHack in Montreal. I go to Montreal all the time, and it's a real bummer that I'm not going to be able to go. But that's really exciting. And of course, if you guys don't know what LAN ETS is, and you are in the Montreal or even somewhere in Quebec, you should definitely check it out. It's a gigantic LAN. I've never been able to actually go. My cousin is actually good friends with one of the organizers as well. But I've actually never managed to make it down to go to the LAN ETS event, but I've heard really good things about it. So definitely check that out. But yeah, we've got a draft progressing along here, so let's just jump on into it. Once again, ACME is going to be on the Dire side. Our Radiant side is going to be... I'm going to screw this name up, so I'm going to check it again. Chrollo. Chrollo. I should have written that one down, but I had to check. But it's going to be Chrollo on the Radiant side. And I did a little player scouting here, and semifinals, the captain for Chrollo, I have no idea who that is. It is a Smurf. He's got, I think, 6 Dota games on record, and 5 of them are losses. But yeah, it's definitely someone's Smurf, so I don't know who that is, so we'll have to see. But the other thing I did notice is that pretty much half the players in this game are Canadian, so I made a little joke in the lobby about the fact that us Canadians are starting to take over. But yeah, like I said, let's get into the draft. So we had ACME banning out the Lone Druid, the Nature's Prophet, the Rexar, or the Beastmaster, and the Enigma. As for our Radiant side, they banned out the Omni Knight, the Spectre, the Sven, and the Juggernaut. The picks: Outworld Devourer, Lion, Phantom Lancer for ACME, Vengeful Spirit, Invoker, and Anti-Mage for Chrollo. Now we go on to our 4th pick here for Chrollo. But they've already picked up the Invoker, so we expect that to be in the mid lane. Anti-Mage in the safe lane. They've got 1 support, typically a more roaming around style support, but it depends. You can also change that up with the Vengeful Spirit. I did notice one of their players does seem to be quite skilled at playing Earth Spirit, so we'll see if they choose to go with that. In which case, the Vengeful Spirit would be more of the stay-at-home support, protecting the Anti-Mage, and then the Earth Spirit would probably be roaming around, putting probably a lot of priority on mid, making sure that Invoker gets a really good start and is able to completely shut down that Outworld Devourer. as that's where we expect him to go. As for the Phantom Lancer, generally he is going to be run in the safe lane, but we have seen off-lane Phantom Lancers in the past. Complexity in the Dota 2 Canada Cup, although it was a little bit of a different roster for them, they did run it a lot in the off-lane in kind of a dual lane configuration. So we'll have to see where Reaper plans on running that. But oh, there we go, Night Stalker, a hero that you guys know that I absolutely love. But it's going to be a support Night Stalker, maybe. It could be an off-lane Night Stalker. We'll see. But I think it's probably going to be more support, and that's going to fill that more roaming around style role. But either way, by picking that hero in this position, it does kind of throw their opponents for a loop, because you don't really know, is that the offlane or is that support? And they're also still going to be flexible.
Radiant team back.
But Doom's going to get picked up by our Dire side, so they're looking pretty scary already. That also lets us know that the Phantom Lancer is going to be safe lane, and we expect that Doom to be in the off lane. So ACME missing a support, and Disruptor is going to be the ban for Chrollo, making sure that they don't pick that up. And now's kind of one of the interesting parts. It's what is Reaper going to choose to ban here?
10 seconds remaining.
The thing is that the Dire side does have some pretty good late game potential with the Outroll Devourer. He's able to do a lot of damage. There are a few natural BKB carriers on the Radiant side, but they typically don't like to get BKB early on. So that's actually going to fit. It's actually going to lend itself a little bit more to Outroll Devourer's strengths, being able to do a lot more damage with his orbs. And then they do, of course, have even more late game with the Phantom Lancer, and they can cover the anti-mage with the Doom, or they can also, maybe if it's more early game engagements, they could use the Doom to pretty much remove the Invoker from the fight as well. It'll be interesting to see where they choose to use that Doom as the game progresses.
5 seconds.
But the final ban was the Brood Mama, so no spiders. Thank God, I hate spiders.
Reserve time.
But who are they going to choose to go with here? They only have 10 seconds left. They've used a lot of their reserve time already, so we're going to find out shortly.
5 seconds remaining.
Tidehunter.
All right, they're going to pick up the Tidehunter, so we expect that to be in the offlane, and the Night Stalker is then the support. It's not the old days of TI1 and I believe TI2 as well, where Tidehunter was being run as a support. But yeah, I don't think that. I think TI1 was Tidehunter support, and TI2 is Tidehunter offlane. But it may have been TI3 where Tide started being run in the offlane.
10 seconds remaining.
No. TI2 was offlane because
5 seconds.
Because I'm pretty sure Tidehunter wasn't seen in one of the internationals, and I'm pretty sure he was back in TI4. I don't know. I can't remember. My memory is absolutely the worst, so going back and thinking about that kind of stuff is definitely not one of my strengths. And there's the support that they choose to pick up. It's going to be the Chen, so it's going to be a little bit more greedy of a support. In fact, most of their draft is actually quite greedy, with the Doom offlane and then Chen jungle. But you know what? They see an anti-mage, they see a Tidehunter offlane, which is going to be able to punish them for being a little bit greedy, but not as hard as some other heroes could be. And certainly it's not like Tidehunter, okay, Tidehunter got a decent start, he's not going to run all over our team immediately. He will kind of get his own snowball rolling, but he's not going to become this super scary, immediate threat for them. So they're kind of okay with saying, you know what, we'll give Tidehunter a little bit more space in the offlane and focus on getting more gold. And just being really, really greedy.
Remaining.
So Chen's going to end up with a lot more gold than a typical support would. And just in general, their whole lineup's going to be a lot more wealthy. But it wouldn't be a competitive game without a pause immediately off the start. So we'll wait until I'm assuming Jazz gets back. I'm guessing he's AFK. Yep. So once that gets resolved, we'll get the game underway for semifinals here of the Semi-Pro Cup Series. That was quite quick. There we go. Everyone's into the game, and let's get in and introduce our teams and our players. On our Radiant side is going to be Team Chrollo. We've got Jazz, playing the big Tidehunter, aka Watermelon, is what I like to call him. We've got semifinals. The Smurf. Don't know who this guy is, don't know how good he is, but we're going to find out this game as he's going to be on the Invoker. We've got Pooh playing the Night Stalker. Mary Yong is going to be playing the Anti-Mage. And Kay Racho is going to be playing the Vengeful Spirit. As for our dire side, it's Team ACME. We've got their fearless leader. It's going to be Reaper, Fear the Reaper. Whatever variation of that he's going by. Apparently he's just going by Reaper in this game. He's going to be playing the Chen. We've got Whiskey on the Outworld Devourer. Annie is going to be playing the Lion. Mind, who I noticed was on a rather big, not necessarily win streak, but he's been winning a lot of games recently. The climb is real. I was joking with him in the lobby, but yeah, gaining a lot of MMR recently. He's going to be playing the Phantom Lancer, and Forehead is going to be playing the Big Doom. Speaking of the early days of TI, I remember Toby seeing Doom and yelling, "Doom is back!" When he bought back into the game, came charging back in with BKB popped. Man, that was scary in the early days of Dota 2. But looks like everything started off pretty much standard as both mid heroes got their bounty runes, and notice the one. It's going to be a Phantom Lancer that they're putting in the mid lane going up against this Invoker. So Mind versus semifinals. Mind versus the Smurf. And we're going to see how this lane's going to go. As for our top lane, it's going to be an off-lane Tidehunter going up against an Outworld Devourer in the safe lane with a Lion babysitting. Chen's going to be in the jungle. And in the bottom lane, it's going to be off-lane Doom going up against Vengeful Spirit babysitting the Anti-Mage. And as we expected, the Night Stalker is going to be moving around, rotating around. And there is a Deep Observer Ward getting placed, or already placed here by our dire side, excuse me. It's going to block up this pole camp, and wow, does that seriously? Okay, it does just barely see. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure that reaches there, but nice dewarding there coming out from Pooh. I like what they did here with putting the Phantom Lancer in the mid lane going up against the Invoker. It dodged that Invoker versus Outworld Devourer lane. And also, by putting your Outworld Devourer up in the top lane, it also prevents the Tidehunter from being able to get as much out of the lane as he would if it was just the Phantom Lancer and Lion up there. Not that Phantom Lancer's bad at zoning out heroes, but look at this. We're going to get a banish from Whiskey. They're able to push up and get good positioning on the Tidehunter. And now Annie and Whiskey are both in behind the Jazz, and Jazz is going to try to eat through the trees, but look at this. Whiskey's going to come in, body blocking, making sure that Tidehunter's not going to be able to get away. He'll have to eat another tree. And he doesn't make a move back towards the lane, as he's going to keep trying to go through the trees, and his creep wave is there, and this might have kept him alive, and now he's going to try to turn it around as he's going to go on Whiskey, as Whiskey and Annie have both lost about half their HP. But nice little bit of play there coming up from Jazz, but it did cost him everything he has in terms of regen. He did get some good damage in, but both these heroes do have quite a bit of regen left. So now expect the Tidehunter to have to play a little bit safer. As for our mid lane, looks to be pretty much dominated by the Phantom Lancer so far. 9 and 5 for the PL versus just 5 and 1 for the Invoker. In the bottom lane, Forehead just dropping all his items on the ground. But he seems to be doing alright down here. 4 and 0 CS, but he's been getting a good amount of XP. He's already hit level 3. And we can contrast that with Jazz, who we've seen playing pretty aggressively in the top lane, but he's just past level 2. So good amount of XP getting picked up there by the Doom in the off lane. And now Chen dropping the Tornado and just going to chase down semifinals here, constantly harassing, as we're going to have Jazz come in and stack the Ancient Camps. It'll hopefully give him some gold as they get a little bit later into this game and he's able to clear those up. Well, here comes Pooh coming out of the jungle with Kairacho trying to force back Forehead here as Mariong blinks forward, but they didn't get anywhere near that Doom, as Forehead was playing that quite well there. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Mind has jumped on the semifinals. He has to drop into the Ghost Walk as he dropped down to about 90 HP. He decides to save his life and do that QQ walk. But action more in the top lane as Jazz has been stunned up. I don't think he's going to be able to juke his way through the trees on this one. He does have a healing salve, though, so he will use it to give himself a little bit more HP, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make his way back. Wow, I might have called this wrong. Does Whiskey have another banish? He doesn't. He doesn't have enough mana. It's 120 mana for rank 1, and Jazz has done it again. I don't know how, but he's managed to juke both these heroes and make it back to the safety of his tower twice now. And Reaper's fed up with this. He's started coming behind this tier 1 tower in the top lane, but I think they recognize the fact that Jazz already had no regen. He had to use his healing salve there, and they're going to send him back to Fountain. But now Reaper's going to come in behind semifinals in the mid lane, but he's going to run immediately into a smoke from Kairachu and Pooh, and we might have our first blood here as Reaper is caught in a whole world of hurt. As semifinals also getting a lot of damage coming in onto from the Hellbear Smashers, and he goes down as well. So maybe worthwhile trade as the support from ACME goes down first, but they do get a very, very valuable kill on that Invoker. So first blood goes the way of the Radiant, but they do lose their mid hero. That's one of those things where, you know what, we can take a look at the show fight recap. You can see that Dire actually ends up ahead in terms of gold there, but I feel like it's even larger than that advantage, because obviously we didn't have Reaper lose a lot of gold there. That's why you saw such a big gold swing there, is he didn't really lose gold, whereas semifinals lost a good amount of gold there, as he still had quite a bit piled up there. But on top of that, this is also a momentum thing. Typically, your mid hero is a hero that's going to be able to, as you exit the laning phase and transition to that mid-game stage of the game, he's going to be the hero that's going to kind of carry your team and be a big mid-game powerhouse for your team. That combined with your position 4 and your offlaner, your position 3, are the 3 heroes that are really going to be able to create space for your team and really take over map controls. Forehead's going to get stunned up here in the bottom, as the Doom does have a healing salve, but not going to be able to use it, as Mariong's going to get the kill there. But yeah, those 3 heroes are typically what's going to carry your team in the mid game and give you create a lot of space on the map. Obviously, the position 5 is going to have some part in that. For the most part, he's just not going to be as potent as those other 3 heroes, just because he's spending so much gold on buying the smokes, buying the wards, buying the sentries or detection, but then also trying to get some item progression of his own. Yeah, and the other thing that they typically do is a lot more of zone controlling kind of stuff as well, where the position 4 may not have to do that because he's, you know, forcing the position 5 and the other team to control areas as well. But Jazz going to get stunned up here as Reaper's here as well. This time he will go down. So finally, 3rd time's a charm. They get the kill there on the Tidehunter. And they even this game up at 2 kills apiece, as now the Phantom Lantern's going to pop an Invis rune that he had bottled up, and he's going to move forward, but immediately scout out this Vengeful Spirit and Night Stalker that were sitting there waiting to gank him in the mid lane. And we're going to have another TP come in. It's going to be from Jazz on the Tidehunter. He's still just level 3.5. He's a long way out from having Ravage. Now they're going to try to engage on Mind. The EMP has been dropped. Mind will just doppel walk away, as they are still going to catch up to him, as they're going to stun him up with the magic missile. Kairachu getting in front of him, getting a little bit of body blocking, but I thought he almost missed it there, but no, he got back in front. But now Tornado comes in, and they will have enough damage to finish him off. And it's going to be Pooh that's going to get the kill there on the Night Stalker. But the big story, I think, right now is the fact that the top 3 on terms of the last hits and that work, or in terms of last hits and man, I can't speak tonight. And CS creep stats are all going to be red. They're all going to belong to the Dire side. We do have, you know, this anti-mage that's doing all right, 36 and 12. But look at this. We already have Doom up at level 6. In fact, he's level 7. He's got a Doom out on the anti-mage, who is going to take out to this. So the offlaner has just scored a kill on the safe lane farming anti-mage, because all those supports just rotated away from the bottom lane. They went for a kill in the mid lane. They did get it, but now they've made their way up to the top, and they've left their anti-mage vulnerable in the bottom lane. And wow, ACME has just pounced on that. Now they're going to come in from behind and try to punish Whiskey and Reaper for pushing up this far, threatening the tier 2 this early in the game. And Whiskey will be able to TP away, but Reaper is going to go down again, as he takes his 2nd death of the game. But I definitely think it's worthwhile. you know, yes, they lost the support there. Yes, they gave up a kill, but they got their OD out of there, which is the main thing. But the other thing is that they put that pressure on the tier 2 and forced all those heroes to come up here. And then their other heroes immediately punishing elsewhere on the map because they forced that rotation. So it cost them a support, but it also secured them a kill on the bottom tier 1 tower. It also prevented the anti-mage from further farming. So you can't always look at it as, you know, you lost a hero that's bad, because in this scenario, it's fine. It's fine that they lost a hero here. What they don't want to lose is Mind here, but I don't think there's any way out of that. As he'll pop the regen, but it gets knocked off right before he can doppelwalk or doppelgang. But he will still get away there, as Hand of God comes in from Chen. And yeah, you know, like I said, kills aren't the entire story. We've got the Radiant side leading here 4-3, but you take a look at the last hits and the whole story is all Dire side. And I normally don't do this prior to 10 minutes, and we're only 20 seconds away, so we'll do it anyways. But let's bring up the right button. Let's bring up this net worth, and we can see just the effect of that. 5,000 gold already ahead for Team ACME, as they're taking control of this game. And XP a little bit more even, but still right around that 4K mark. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about towards the end of the draft, the fact that they went with this more greedy style lineup. They had the Chen sitting in the jungle. You look at how far up the list he is. He's sitting there at 4th highest in terms of last hits. In fact, I'll switch over to net worth. You can see he's a little bit further down, but still. He's only behind the mid laner and the safe laner from the opposing team. He's gotten a lot of extra gold there, but the other big story is the fact that this Doom has gotten so much in the off lane, and that has definitely given himself and his team a huge boost, and it's really kept that anti-mage down. The fact that the off laner is ahead of the safe lane farming anti-mage on the opposing team is a big issue for this Radiant side. But Chrollo, they do have the possibility to bring this game back. Yes, they're behind early, and yes, that's going to be a little bit difficult with how greedy of a lineup this Dire side went with. They really should be ahead at this point in the game right now, but right now they need to kind of minimize their losses and find those little openings and just kind of punish this Dire side and get themselves back in the game. Notice they let the tier 1 tower in the mid lane soak up a little bit of damage there. They didn't overcommit. They didn't feel like they needed to go in and save that tier 1 tower. They played it safe. They waited for an opening. The opening didn't happen. And, well, it cost them a little bit of HP on their tower. But look at this. They're going to start making a rotation down towards the bottom lane. They're going to run right into Forehead, who will get the Doom off on the semifinals. So the Invoker won't be able to provide any more damage in, but Kai Racho is going to be the only kill going down here, as there was a nice rotation coming in from the Radiant side. They run into the Doom, and the Doom, with a little bit of help from the Chen, they're just able to deal with those 4 heroes, no problem. We also had Annie in mind rotating in, but they didn't even get there in time to really help out. And Jazz has been trying to finish off this this Ancient stack, but it's still going to take him a little while. He does have he is level 6, so he does have access to Ravage, but we haven't seen one of them yet, and his mana pool isn't the best right now. He does have a Mango though, so if he needs to kind of emergency Ravage, he could. But we'd really like to see those Ravages be used more aggressively, and as a tool to get his team back in the game, rather than doing it to try to escape a gank. But Reaper just hit 900 gold, so we will have a mech flying in shortly, as he's already got the components for that. Just need the recipe. And he's got Tranquils. We've got Treads, Aquila, Blade of Alacrity, and another 1200 gold for Mine. So this Phantom Lancer is getting pretty big pretty fast, as Anti-Mage's a little bit further behind. He's got his Perseverance, he's got his Power Treads, and he started with the Quelling Blade, but he's up at 700 gold, still a little ways out before he's going to finish his Battle Fury. Semifinals has his boots and the completion of his drums. He just needs to deliver the remaining components. Obviously, expect these supports to be a little bit more poor. We do have an urn already up on the Night Stalker, so that actually isn't bad for the Night Stalker's item progression. Jazz now up to 1800 as he just finished off that ancient stack. So he's getting closer and closer to his Blink Dagger. It's still another 400 or 500 away. Whiskey sitting at Treads, Aquila, and Drums. And another 1700, almost 1800 gold. So he's looking pretty good right now. And then the Doom. The Doom is so damn scary. He's got his Tranquils. He's got his Drums. He's going to activate one of the charges there as he runs in, gets a Doom off on Mariong. And even if he doesn't get the kill here on the Anti-Mage, which it looks like he will, they are likely going to be denying him. But no, the Invoker actually misses the deny there, and it ticks out to the Doom. So Forehead gets the kill there. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of here away safely. Hand of God comes in. That might have been enough. Nope. He tries to juke past, but there is still a tower there, so he's not going to be able to get past that. So he trades his life for the Anti-Mage. That one's a little bit closer to not sure if it's worth. You know, that gave this Radiant side a lot of gold because the Doom is so far ahead and because of kind of comeback mechanics in the game right now. But it's not all entirely about the gold given for the kill. It did once again set this Anti-Mage back because that was the main target. That's what they want to do, keep him down. And you know, we just went over all the items, and when we did, he had these items and he was sitting at 700 gold. So now a couple minutes later, he's still at that same mark because of that kill. But we're all tied up, 5 kills apiece. And we continue to see the Dire side just kind of taking over the map and just further constricting this Radiant side, as they're pretty much scared to move anywhere else on anywhere out on the map. They do have 3 observer wards down, as I'll quickly switch over to our Radiant side vision that you can see on the minimap. They do have these 3 observer wards out to kind of spot some of the rotations, but we switch over to the Dire side. Dire also has some deep wards, but they're able to just go so much further because there's just no towers up on this Radiant side, and the Dire side have all their tier 1 towers up, so they've got a lot of outward vision of the map just from structures. Kairacho going to get harassed down to half HP just from the Phantom Lancer there, as Mind, so much damage there. He even has a double damage bottled up. And there's no way that this Radiant side can fight here. They're just going to completely back away, give up their tier 2 tower. And now the Diffusal Blade flies in for Mind, so he's going to be able to do even more harass damage as if he chooses to open up again on that Vengeful Spirit. And Reaper, where's his mech? What? He didn't buy the mech recipe, he bought Arcane Boots. Interesting. Well, he's up to another 700 gold, so I imagine his mech will be coming out shortly. But that's certainly an interesting pickup. We do have a Blink Dagger picked up on Whiskey, and speaking of Blink Daggers, Jazz has picked his up as well, so Blink Ravages are a real possibility. As Roche is going to go down, Aegis is going to get picked up by Whiskey. And Shadow Blade now completed by Forehead, wherever he is. Oh, he's all the way back in the base. So some big initiation items getting picked up here for both sides, really. But now we'll look to see what's going to happen. Our next real big initiation. I mean, I guess we don't really have to have a huge team fight coming up shortly. There could be a pick-off, and then Radiant's going to kind of cut their losses and give up another tower. But I definitely think the next kill is probably going to go the way of the Dire unless we break out into a big team fight. Then, you know, you never know. Ravage can completely turn around a fight, especially with an Invoker on the back of it as well. If he gets a good EMP off, it could be devastating. But yeah, here comes the pick off as Foreheads use that Shadow Blade to pick off semifinals as the Invoker goes down. Jazz is actually going to have to TP away, and he will do so safely because Forehead doesn't have any way to interrupt now. But there's that pick off, and now Radiant going to be losing a tower as the mid tier 2 goes down. They might even chip away at the tier 3 here and take high ground. Probably just bring it down to about half HP, but actually they might be able to get a little bit more. Invoker still has 20 seconds before he's going to be up. But yeah, they forced out a buyback, so they're going to get that tower down to about 3/4, and then they'll back away. And wow, they're even going to keep going up towards this tier 2 towers. They know Radiant most likely isn't going to want to defend this tier 2 tower. It's one of the harder defendable towers in the game. Both top and bottom are very, very difficult to defend. Bottom is a little bit harder to defend than top. from the Radiant side, but well, they're kind of posting up like they may want to defend here.
Attack.
But they've been spotted. Whiskey's already pinged them out. As the tier 2 will go down. Tornado's going to fly in. It's just going to hit Mind. EMP also will actually hit Mind, but Whiskey going to get stunned up. Jazz off to the side, but look at this. Forehead's on him. He's making sure that no Blink Ravage is going to be coming in from them. He will eventually throw out the Ravage, but it's just going to hit Forehead and Annie. But meanwhile, Jazz's entire team is dead with the exception of the Anti-Mage as Marion blinks away and Jazz is going to fall, and now it's just that Anti-Mage left alive as he'll blink back towards his base, but Whiskey's there, so he'll start going down towards the jungle. And they won't be able to catch up to him, but they don't need to. They just wipe out the creep wave and once again start hitting one of these tier 3 towers. There are a couple heroes still up in the top lane as Reaper's there with his zoo of animals.
Radiant's middle tower
And they'll start dealing damage to the top tier 3. But a few of these respawns have already come back up. As we have both supports here from the Radiant side back up, but we do have the Tide Hunter and Invoker up in less than 10 seconds as well. Both tier 3 towers getting down to about half HP as Whiskey goes for the aggressive play as he jumps in, couple auto attacks, Sanity's Eclipse, and there goes the Vengeful Spirit. He wanted to get the kill on Pooh as well, but he's not going to be able to do so, and now maybe this has cost him his life. He does have Aegis of the Immortal still. And he's going to be able to blink coming out of that. But will Jazz be able to pick him off? Mind is here as well to help him out as the Outworld Devourer goes down. But remember, he does have that Aegis, so he will be back. And that kill did cost Jazz his life as Mind was there. And Marion will blink back to the Fountain to regen back up a little bit. But that means more damage is going to be coming into this tier 3 tower. They will glyph it up to prevent that further push. But Forehead, Mind, Annie, and Whiskey still here, still posed to keep attacking this tier 3 tower. Reaper's quite a ways away. He's still at the top room. But the tier 3 tower has gone down and they'll blink away. They're not going to stick around for the racks. But certainly if they get an opening to get a pick off here, they might. As Forehead drops into Shadow Blade, he's hunting. But look at this. We already got some sentry wards out from the Radiant side. Good job there coming out from the Radiant supports. But Forehead, he doesn't care. He's just going to doom anyways. So he's going to throw that out on the Invoker. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to lead to a kill there, but well, they might be able to get the Vengeful Spirit as Kairacho's dropped down to half HP. So much harass damage coming in from that Phantom Lancer. But they don't have to chase, and they don't, as they're going to keep attacking these racks as the melee racks in the top lane is going to be the focus as it's down to half HP now. Tornado's going to fly, it's going to hit 2. EMP is also going to be there. Will it hit Forehead? No. He's able to get far enough away as Mind continues to harass his Vengeful Spirit as he doppelgangs away as the top racks, the melee racks, about to fall as Jazz will go down again. He does not have buyback Ravages available, but he won't be able to use it for another 30 seconds. And with that, I think we're probably going to see 2 lanes of racks go down here as the top ones have already gone down. They'll start moving towards the mid lane, where the range racks out of all the racks are already at half HP. Those will quickly fall, and then the melee racks soon after. But Venge will respawn up here. Another 10 seconds until that tide's available. So ACME will claim the 2 lanes of racks. Now, are they going to stick around? Try to force out a GG. Mind's going to get swapped. But he just doppelgangs back, and that Kairacho, oh, getting very, very low, 65 HP. There's that Ravage coming out. It's going to land on 2, Whiskey and Mind. Is there enough follow-up? Mariong's going to go on Whiskey. He uses the Mana Void on an Outworld Devourer with entirely full mana pool. That obviously didn't do much damage, but did get the mini stun, and they did end up getting the kill in the long run. They're going to get a kill on Annie as well. But our dire side, they end up losing 3 heroes, and we can see just how big of a gold swing those 3 kills are. 6,700 gold going the way of Chrollo, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. They've lost 2 lanes of racks very early in this game. They're down 6 kills, and let's take a quick look at our net worth. It is already over 20,000 gold lead, almost 25,000 gold lead for ACME on this dire side. XP looking pretty similar. Of course, we're going to have a little spike coming back up in favor of the Radiant as a result of those 3 kills at the end there. But still, it's been the whole story's been this dire side, and they're also dominating in terms of XP. Well, what do we got coming out for the Radiant side? We already had the Blink Dagger on the Tide, but we still really haven't seen a big ravage. We've had some really good positional play from our Dire side, making it difficult for Jazz to really make a big play there with the Blink Ravage. But a lot of it has just been... I almost feel like there's some hesitation in terms of when... Not necessarily when Jazz wants to jump in, but just in general when the entire team wants to jump in and when they want to engage. I think right now they feel very far behind, and certainly they are. If you take a look at these items, there's a lot of just kind of core items just now getting picked up by this Radiant side, whereas you look at the Dire side. They've picked up their core, they're starting to add on some more luxury items, and they are just so strong. We're going to have a Manta coming out of mine soon. And with that, you kind of sit back and you try to keep playing this game of poke, and hoping that some gigantic opportunity is just going to fall into your lap. And unfortunately, at this level of play, and as these players get even better, the number of opportunities and the magnitude of those opportunities just gets smaller and smaller, and it makes it much more difficult. But we've seen plenty of throws in the past. We've seen some real 3-2-2 moments here. I think this is pretty big for a pretty one-sided game for our Dire side to throw here, but you never know. And you never know until that last building, the throne, goes down. But here we go as we're prepping for our last team fight here. All ults are available. As Whiskey and Reaper still just chip away at this bottom tier 3 tower. But the issue is that we've got Forehead up in the top lane, making sure that these lanes are constantly pushing in as the other heroes position themselves in the bottom. And look at this. The Radiant side is so scared. They're staying so far back, and they need to jump at some moment. If they keep sitting back waiting for an opportunity, that opportunity isn't going to happen. They've got to try and create something. They've got to take a risk. They got to go for it, and they're just getting completely run over. As look at this, Mind has no problem diving in like this. He's just completely tying up their attention, while Reaper and some of the other heroes are focusing down the racks, and now they even score a kill on the Invoker. No buyback available for him. He's down for 45. As the racks start to fall, Forehead gets a Doom off on the Anti-Mage. Jazz tries to come in. He will get off a Ravage. It is going to land on 4, but I'm not sure if it's enough. With the Invoker already dead, and with them so far ahead, that's just going to be the end of the game, as 4 heroes now dead on the side of our Radiant, and it's just the Anti-Mage left alive. Yeah, he has Battle Fury. He had a little bit of farm, but it was nowhere near enough, and the GGs get called as ACME, in a very impressive showing, will advance to our finals, where I'll look and see if our other semifinal has finished. It started quite a bit before this one, so I imagine it did, and it's going to be Bibe, which is going to be in the finals. We saw them last week in the finals. Unfortunately, they didn't win that. They lost out to Pain, but we will see them in the finals. And that other semifinal was between Bibe and Majestic Maniacs, which Shamplu was playing on, an old friend. He was on one of the teams that when I was still playing competitive, when I was still somewhat relevant, we used to scrim against that team quite a bit. And he was actually streaming one of the quarterfinal games that they were playing, so I watched a little bit of that. But I think he took his stream down for the semifinals, but I'm not sure on that. But either way, they unfortunately got eliminated. So it will be Bibe in the finals going up against ACME. We'll have that game in just a few minutes. Once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit me up with a follow if you enjoyed the cast. And you know what? If you didn't enjoy the cast, let me know why you didn't enjoy the cast, and I'll try and prove that for you for next time. But like I said, we'll be back in just a few minutes with our grand finals. Thanks for watching.